In 49 BCE, the Senate stripped Gaius Julius Caesar of his powers and ordered him to disband his army in Gaul. In response, Caesar launched a civil war and soon led his troops in a triumphant march through Italy. That same year, he defeated Pompey's forces and his supporters in the Battle of Ilerda, forcing Pompey to flee to Greece, where he temporarily settled in the city of Larissa. In the fall of 49 BCE, Caesar was granted dictatorial powers, and in June 48 BCE, his army landed in Epirus and marched to Thessaly. The armies of Pompey and Caesar positioned themselves near the city of Pharsalus. Each army consisted of about 30,000 soldiers, but Pompey's army had a slight advantage in cavalry. Both sides signaled for battle. Pompey hesitated, hoping Caesar's soldiers, who had started their attack and were sprinting up the slope toward his troops, would tire out before launching a full assault. The first to engage Caesar's army was Gaius Cresson. He disrupted the enemy's front lines, but fell in battle. Nevertheless, the outcome was still uncertain. Pompey waited to see what his cavalry would do. They were already extending their squadron lines to flank Caesar's troops and push his outnumbered cavalry back to the infantry. At that moment, Caesar gave the signal, his cavalry parted, and 3,000 soldiers from reserve moved forward to confront the enemy. Following their orders, they thrust their spears upward, aiming at the faces. The inexperienced cavalry, overwhelmed by the attacks to their eyes, panicked and fled in disgrace, covering their faces with their hands and turning their horses away. Disregarding the retreating cavalry, Caesar's troops flanked the Pompeians, while the 10th Legion confronted them head-on. Caught between two fronts, they were unable to mount an effective defense. Caesar's soldiers pressed their advantage, pushing forward with relentless force. Caesar's troops quickly gained ground, overwhelming the Pompeians with their superior tactics and determination. The Pompeian lines began to crumble as they struggled to withstand the onslaught from both sides. With each passing moment, the situation grew more dire for Pompey's forces as Caesar's army relentlessly pushed forward, inching closer to victory with every step. The chaos of battle engulfed both sides, but Caesar's soldiers maintained their discipline and coordination. They exploited the confusion within the Pompeian ranks, exploiting gaps and weaknesses to their advantage. As the fighting raged on, it became increasingly clear that the Pompeians were on the brink of defeat. Their lines faltered, and morale plummeted as Caesar's forces continued their relentless advance, leaving little room for the Pompeians to regroup or mount a counterattack. Victory seemed inevitable for Caesar as his troops closed in on their beleaguered opponents. Seeing themselves surrounded and without cavalry cover, the Pompeians faltered and turned to flee. Pompey, seeing the dust clouds signaling the defeat of his cavalry, realized they were in trouble. With defeat imminent, he made the fateful decision to abandon the battlefield and flee to safety. This marked a decisive turning point in the battle, as the Pompeian retreat turned into a rout, with Caesar's troops chasing down fleeing enemies. The Battle of Pharsalus ended in a resounding victory for Julius Caesar, solidifying his dominance and paving the way for his eventual rise to power in Rome. It was a pivotal moment in Roman history, shaping the course of events for years to come.